Hi there. Check out this clip taken from my latest conversation with Deb Fillman on the Engineering Politics podcast number 36 titled Institutional Corruption. You can get the full episode on my YouTube channel, or even better yet, by subscribing to my Locals community at engineeringpolitics.locals.com. And while you're on Locals subscribing to all of these wonderful creators, make sure to support and join Deb's community at thereasonwelearn.locals.com. All right, let's get to it. Cue the music. As someone put in the comments here, that students are kind of internalizing this sense of feeling stupid because they think they're shamed by their teachers. I think the problem is the teachers have lost the understanding of how to criticize because they believe that criticism is the same thing as shaming. And they
Correct.
need to understand that there are constructive ways to criticize kids to say, hey, you're not at the level you're supposed to be right now. Let me help you. And that's just not getting them any help. It's not preparing these kids for the real world.
Well, if they're concerned, if they were actually concerned about kids' self-esteem, if that was even on their list of priorities, the last thing they would be doing, and we've talked about this in these podcasts before, the last thing they would be doing is defining the children for them. You wouldn't have an adult say, you are this. Check off these boxes and fill out this form, and that's who you are. You would never do that. Is such an invasion in their emotional space to tell a young child who they are. They haven't had time to figure that. They haven't been on the planet long enough to understand what an identity is. Mm-hmm. And when an adult comes along and tells you who you are, and it's all kinds of immutable characteristics and externalized things, and then tells you that because of the things I just told you are, encouraged you to check boxes that you are, then other people do feel XYZ about you, people you never met. Okay. You're creating cognitive distortion. You're telling them something will happen, or you're telling them how to explain things that happen in the most negative light, and they will go looking for that. And in fact, you even teach them how to go looking for it. It's called microaggressions. Like, here's how to find all the racism and everything. You're teaching them cognitive distortion. So you're teaching the child the behaviors of depressed people. Depressed people have cognitive distortion, and there are multiple very specific behaviors: binary thinking, emotion-based thinking, emotional reasoning, rather, where you use, like, because I feel, therefore it's true. My feelings are always right. This is how depressed people function. Depressed people abandon reason. Because if you think about it, the way you get through things in life that are not so awesome is you have a little debate with yourself, right? It's like a little argument in your head that something bad happened. Now you have a choice. You can say, well, everything bad happens to me, and it's because of these people are just hateful and horrible. Okay, so that's one argument. Then you're supposed to check that in facts. You're supposed to say, is that really true? Does everybody even know me to hate me? And this all happens very quickly if you've learned to do it well. But we're interrupting that process with very young children and preventing them from learning how to do it, and giving them a script instead that is to the negative. You're oppressed. You're a victim. Oh, you're an oppressor. Yeah. So when good things happen to you, don't be grateful, be guilty.
Yeah. Yeah. That, what I always call is that negative feedback loop that you get in your head. Oh, why is this happening to me? All of a sudden, two things in a row happen bad to you, and you kind of fall in this negative feedback loop. It's like, oh man, my life is falling apart and everything's awful. And that is a great thing to teach kids while they have relatively, these problems that aren't going to end their life. And then those problems can manifest themselves in much larger problems when they become an adult, and they're responsible for other kids and other people. But to understand how to break the negative feedback loop without just saying, well, ignore the problem because I'm just going to call you special, and that should be good enough to end your negative feedback loop, or to almost allow them to sit in that negative feedback loop and not you know, find avenues to actually make your life better, but to kind of push that negativity off onto someone else. Cause I think that's what a lot of the teachers do, right? When you say you're projecting onto someone, I think a lot
Yeah.
of this insecurity and lack of meaning comes from that projection, right? Because when you don't
Exactly.
have, I mean, when these teachers don't have meaning because they think that meaning comes from calling out people as being racist, or they think that meaning comes from being just happy. Like, I don't like the kind of, you know, like we just talked about, you know, happiness is not, does not provide meaning. Happiness is a symptom of meaning, right? And not understanding that, I think, makes them live much more of a sad life, and they project that on the kids.